All right, finna go ahead and get it started. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Life of a Champ podcast. Today's episode 124. Man, they're going by so fast, man. Today's episode, we're going to be discussing the most underrated skill in 2023. Now, this is going to be an opinion that I've had for the longest time, but I don't think I have expressed it on this podcast before. So, I'm going to go ahead and get my message across today. So, if you have any questions upon it, make sure you go ahead and let me know in the comments. Jaden, appreciate you for stopping by. Grandma, appreciate you for stopping by as well. Getting it started, a few things I want to mention. Make sure you want to follow me on TikTok, just Life of Champ Podcast on TikTok. I will be having some clips being made in this upcoming week. I have a lot of good podcasts that I haven't previously made that I need to make clips for, so stay tuned in for that. As well as make sure you go ahead and leave a like on my YouTube Shorts, as well as make sure you go ahead and also, if you can't watch the full podcast or for whatever reason can never catch it live, make sure you go ahead and tap in with the YouTube clips. I'm posting those as well, and those are going to be very, very rewarding if you do watch them. Very, very information filled. Small clips of the podcast, so tap in with that for sure. Other than that, we're gonna go ahead and get this started, man. So, like I had mentioned, the topic for today's podcast is the most underrated skill in 2023. So, okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and describe what the skill actually looks like. And like I said, if you have any questions, make sure to let me know. So this skill, and yes, it is a skill because I've only seen I feel like the people who get the most out of life are able to do this at the highest level. Okay. This is going to be this skill is going to be the ability to utilize your resources given in order to go ahead and get the answers that you need. So this is going to be a skill that I have taken advantage of time and time again, and I've constantly been getting better with this skill over time. Over the last 5 years, I've had enough time to develop this type of skill, and unfortunately, for whatever reason, I do not see enough people tapping into this for sure. So I do believe I'm gonna go and say it one more time, right? The skill that is the most underrated in 2023 is the ability to utilize your resources. So when I say utilize your resources, I mean the great resource of the internet, right? This is going to be an ability that we haven't always had as humans, right? And with that being said, if the greater you are at the greater you are at your ability to go ahead and utilize an abundance of information and more importantly curate specifically what you need out of that and then go ahead and throw away the rest. The ability to do that and do it at the highest level, you're going to be able to get the most out of life. I truly believe that. And I do believe that this ability is and has always been the great separator in society for the longest time, right? I do believe the people, even the philosophers of the past, the people that were able to do the thinking and also, more importantly, able to get the knowledge that was passed on, right? And able to create new thoughts and new ideas based off of that. I feel like those people have been the most rewarding. And if you're able to do this at a high level in a lot of different areas, and also more importantly, the most important areas to go ahead and develop in life, you're going to get ahead of most people. And like I had mentioned, right, I feel like this is something that I've done very, very well. I do believe that this is going to be one of the only opportunities that you have, or I would say this opportunity is granted to everybody. Now, whether you use it or not is up to you. But I do believe that this opportunity can truly propel anyone from being above average. Right? If you're average right now, or if you're below average right now, your ability to do this and do it very, very well is going to dictate whether you can be above average or not. Right? Um, yeah, I would say it's as simple as that, right? I would say for me speaking personally, right, and this is something that you can also do yourself. Any insufficiency that I've had, that I perceive to have for a long period of time, and especially with me being young as well, I was able to figure out specifically how to fix my own problems, right? And of course, there's going to be some issues that you do have that you're not going to be able to go ahead and get the answer for, but that's completely okay. That is life, right? Life is about learning those lessons. Life is about going through your own trials and tribulations and going through your own experiences. But with that being said, you can avoid a lot of mistakes by having the right information, right? You can save a lot of time with having the right information, right? Fortunately for me, I was able to do this for an abundance of things, right? All the insufficiencies that I had growing up, I looked deep into the information where I was most curious, and I happened to be curious about the things that helped me out in my life. So if you're able to do this, and like I said, if you have any insufficiency right now, there's going to be a person on this world right now that has the answers and has also been able to give them out to you, right? They are what we call synthesizers, right? I am a synthesizer myself, right? I learn about certain philosophies that I don't think enough people know about, and then I go ahead and talk about them. Or if I have my own ideas, and then I have expanded my own thought on those ideas based off of the information that I have been given, and also through my own experience, then I'm able to give it out, right? That's pretty much what I've been doing, and what I will continue to do. But I do believe that, like I said, it's going to be the great separator, and it always has been the great separator, right? I do believe that this is also going to Yeah. Okay, I want to say this. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room, right? You don't have to have the college degree, whatever, right? You don't have to have the credentials in order to utilize your resources, right? Because most of the resources that you can use that are going to be of the most benefit come down to your ability to discipline yourself, right? It comes down to your ability to discipline yourself to go ahead and seek out the information that is going to give you the most benefit, right? Most people, for whatever reason, do not have this desire, right? So therefore, they don't get an abundance of answers on their most questionable life questions, right? They don't get enough answers because they don't do enough asking and they don't do enough thinking and they don't do enough researching, right? If you're able to do all these things and do them at a high level and also be able to do them really, really effectively, and also if you're able to do this and continually get better at it, like I had mentioned, you're going to be above average, and that is the ideal in this life, right? Anyone can live average, anyone can live below average, but it says a lot more if you're able to take steps in the necessary direction that puts you above average. When you look at the grand scheme of everybody that exists and you say, hey, are people working on this? Do people think like this? Do people utilize their time like this, right? The greater you are at making that decision that maybe most people wouldn't make is going to put you in it's going to put you in a better position. And I do believe that doing this at a high clip is going to result in benefits that you couldn't even imagine. I'm telling you that right now. And so I can say utilize your resources. This also goes with like books and things like that, right? You have the ability to acquire an abundance of knowledge, right? And in many different aspects. I'm not just saying the internet, right? This kind of podcast is kind of made for the internet in itself, but at the same time, with all the books that you have available, and obviously, books are fairly cheap, I would say. Um, your ability to, like I said, instill that discipline in yourself and truly want to have your life bettered by the information that you can get is going, like I said, it's going to dictate whether you are average or whether you're not, or whether you're even below average. Um, but yeah, like I said, I really can speak on this all day because this is something that I've thought about time and time again. Right, I just don't believe people, they just get too distracted, and I think that is probably people's biggest problems when it comes to this topic. I just don't think people um, are as focused. Their focus is very spread very very thin, and I don't think that's going to be ideal. But those people who can truly lock in and truly focus, and like I said, stay disciplined and also be a little curious along with that, you're gonna put yourself in a better position, man. And yeah, like I said, I do believe that it is the most underrated skill that does exist that people do not talk about enough because it's one thing to truly believe that you need to rely on the system, like I said, go to college, go to high school in order to acquire and be the smartest you possibly can be. But I do believe that the smartest people go through their own self education, right? They learn about the things they want to learn about. They get truly passionate and in depth research about the things that they truly want to know. And with that being said, that is ultimately going to come down to your ability to utilize your resources because, like I mentioned before, fellas, you have the most abundant amount of resources that you can ever have right now, right? And I don't understand why people do not use them enough. Like for example, man, if you're really struggling on something, man, just look it up, man. You really can look it up, and at least you're going to put yourself in a better position when it comes to your just overall ideas, right? And here's the thing: even if you don't specifically get the answer that you're looking for, if you get some answers that help you piece together your own solution to your own problem, like I said, it's going to put you in a better position, man. It's something worth thinking about. And like I said, you just need to be careful enough to actually do the time and take the time to go ahead and get it done, man. Because sadly, like I said, there's not enough people that truly, really want to actually get things done and think about things. Like I said, everybody. I won't say everybody, but most people are just super distracted about a lot of different things. And of course, society is truly made for you to get distracted and caught up in a bunch of different things. But like I said, if you're able to figure out specifically what you want, right? You're able to utilize your resources in order to truly figure out specifically what you want, you're going to be in a better position. And I do believe that this is something that like I said, I've truly applied, and it's something that I'm applying right now and truly getting better at right now. My next few moves that I have cooking up, I do believe that uh, it's just going to come down to my ability to be utilizing my resources. And this is why I wanted to make the podcast for today because I've been learning a lot more about the certain next step that I need to take. And with that being said, it all came down to talking to people and also utilizing the resources around you is also going to look like talking to other people as well, which I haven't mentioned yet, but I do believe that it needs to be mentioned because you have resources that extend beyond you, right? Your network, people the knowledge that they have is also can be it can also be utilized by you, right? If you're able to, for sure ask the right questions, right? That's when it's gonna come down to when it comes to talking to other people, especially people that know a little bit more about the things you want to know about. If you're able to ask the right questions to maximize the amount of information you possibly can get, it's gonna lead you. It's gonna lead you in a great position. And like I said, YouTube in itself, right, is something that I would say is part of my great development that I've had as a person. This is why I obviously wanted to go ahead and do the same thing. But yeah, for damn sure, like I said, YouTube University, I've learned a lot, not only about myself, but also about the person that I want to be, just by truly putting in the time, right? Like I said, researching the right things. People use the internet for entertainment, but those seeking knowledge have so much at their reach if they really look. Exactly, you're exactly right, and that is something that I'm pretty sure we both have in common. Is our just overall curiosity to go ahead and learn and to switch the entertainment, right? This is something that I mentioned on a previous podcast. Is entertainment value is one thing, but if you're able to truly get entertainment value, and also acquire other types of value that truly add to your life, you're going to be in a better position. If you if your dopamine, if you can switch kind of what you see as you giving you dopamine, right? With this is something that I've done with just educational content, you're going to be in a better position, right? And of course, you can indulge within some type of entertainment if you would like. Of course, everybody has their own vices, right? If you want that to be one of yours, go ahead and do it. But I'm saying for the people who want to live above average, that is going to be something that you must transcend beyond. Is just pointless pieces of entertainment, which, like I said, I mentioned on the previous podcast. But I know it's a little unflattering to hear for most people, but at the same time, you gotta have balance. You gotta have balance in this life, fellas. Like I said, I'm not saying don't watch anything that's entertaining, and truly only watch things that are gonna add to your life. But like I said, I'm just gonna give you the advice that I wish that I got. Let's just say before 17. But yeah, like I said, books are going to be a great resource. Other people going to be a great resource. The internet going to be a great resource. More specifically, I would say YouTube, obviously Google being the largest search engine. That's also going to help you out as well. It's going to give you answers. It's going to give you at least ideas. And I do believe that also with the internet and all the abundance of information, you're gonna get like seeds of you're gonna get seeds of things that are of your interest, but it's your duty to go ahead and do the further research on those certain topics. And I do believe that people just like they kind of hear something, they don't do any critical thinking about it, they don't do any research behind it, and they kind of just like leave it very very super, like a superficial surface layer of information that they know. So they kind of know things, but they really don't. Does that make sense? Like they'll have like random facts in their head, but they don't have like any like foundational knowledge that extends beyond that. And I do believe having both, if you're able to truly have the random spurts of information, and you're also able to go ahead and take the time to truly dedicate yourself to try to figure out more about this, you're gonna be in a better position, man. You're gonna be in a better position for sure. Yeah, one thing I want to mention as well is all the answers to life's questions mostly can be found if intentionally looked for, right? That's something that I want to make very very clear. I do believe that people just think that life's going to give them the answers are going to start coming out of the thin air, dog. They're not. You got to look for some of these things, man. If you want to expedite your process in life, you're gonna have to look for them. You're gonna have to look for it, and of course, life will eventually give you the answers, hopefully, right? But you have to be conscious enough to you have to be conscious enough and aware enough to try to figure out and sift through all the information and look at life synchronicities as well. I want to make a podcast on that. I could probably talk about that a little bit later, but yeah, we're gonna talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, like I said, if you have any questions or if there's any observations that you've had about things that I've talked about that you feel is worth mentioning, whether you're watching this or watching this live, I want you to go and leave in the comments. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Give me 1 second. Yeah, one thing I want to mention as well, and this is something I truly have mentioned on previous podcasts before, but like I said, I do believe that still needs to be worth. It's still worth mentioning. Is this just goes hand in hand with just being a great observer of life. If you're a person who truly has an observer's eye on these topics and also um, are able to utilize your resources based off of your observations that you have made, man, like I said, you're gonna be unstoppable, man. You're gonna be unstoppable in that capacity. Yeah, but I would say it's definitely reaped me a lot of benefits in my own personal life. Me truly being an observer of the ones around me, right? First observing the ones around me, being very very careful with kind of kind of the person that I want to be, taking little bits and pieces from people's personalities and people's achievements, taking bits and pieces and making a mental note of those things, right? And also by making a mental note of these things, I'm able to figure out specifically what I want to look into a little bit more, right? What I want to get better at, and then I utilize the resources that I have and the abundance of information that we all have, and I seek out specifically what interests me and what I want to get better at, right? Um, yeah, I would say it's pretty much as simple as that. Now for me personally, it doesn't. I don't typically do all that thinking in speech form. It just kind of happens. But yeah, I know. Me being able to describe it, I'm sure it's gonna help somebody out with kind of the way that how you should go about kind of processing that thought pattern. But hopefully, I'll get something from that, man. But I do believe that yeah, it's just something that you need to be very very careful of when it comes to your observations, people that you have around as well. If you're able to have people that you want to take things away from, like in the most positive way possible, like let's just say somebody is in great shape, and maybe you can extract some knowledge from them by having some good conversation. Then go ahead and do that. Right, it's going to put you in a good position because you also utilizing resources. And I do believe that, like I said, the answers that you're struggling with in life right now can easily be answered if you're looking for the answers intentionally, like I mentioned earlier. Like I'll say it again. All answers to life's questions mostly can be found if intentionally looked for. Right. I just don't believe that enough people are actually taking the time to look for the shit. Like they just don't. And I don't understand it, me personally. I just don't understand it. But if you're struggling with something, somebody in this world knows something that you don't, that you want to know, that you should want to know, and it's up to you to be careful enough to go ahead and take the time to look that stuff up, man. And if you're able to do that, like I said, you're gonna be in a good position, man. Because most people are just shooting in the dark, man. On keep it 1,000. They're praying and shooting in the dark, man. You don't be one of those people, because, like I said, fellas, life could be so much easier than that, man. Life could be so much easier than that if you actually care. Like I said, and don't just say you care, but also act like you do care. Bree, appreciate you stopping by. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. She said, "Yeah, you already know what time it is, man." All right, getting into the next thing when it comes to this topic. Um, give me one second. Give me one second. Yeah, I want to reiterate this point because I do believe that this is very very key right here. You are actually able to rid yourself of your insufficiencies with the abundance of knowledge that is openly available to all of us, right? That is so key right there. Like I said, everybody has their own insufficiencies. Everybody has their shortcomings in life. Everybody has the things that they know they need to work on, right? But not everybody is doing something about it. I find that actually hilarious, man. Most people are not doing anything about it, right? With that being said, do not be one of these people that just doesn't do anything about it, right? You can do something about, like I said, the problems that you have, the insufficiencies that you have, the things that you know you need to overcome, the biggest demons that you have hiding in the closet. You're able to overcome all of these things. Now, it's a matter of you wanting to voluntarily go ahead and confront that, right? If you're able to do that, and you're able to really take that hard look in the mirror, and I do believe that a lot of people are truly afraid of doing that, and this is something that I've became so accustomed to, right? And something that I think when you're in the beginning of your self development journey, this is something that's kind of hard to do because it's a lot of pressure, right? It is a lot of pressure. You kind of see yourself as not good enough sometimes. If I'm being honest, right? That's kind of how I see myself sometimes. It's just not good enough, but at the same time, knowing truly knowing that you can resolve your insufficiencies with careful observations and intentional actions. Like I said, you're going to be in a good position, man. You're going to be in a good position. And even if you don't feel like you're good enough, if you have that conscious thought that you're putting in effort that most people don't put in, what more can you ask for, man? What more can you ask for in that regard? But that like I said, that's me personally the way that I see it. Um, like I said, I'm a walking example of those things. Like I said, there's certain things that I knew and recognized to be some of my weaknesses. So I'll give you one of them. A previous girlfriend of mine, she mentioned that one of my insufficiencies was being empathetic, right? and truly showing my empathy. So I truly had empathy inside, but I didn't know specifically how to express that in a way where somebody feels comfortable, right? And also, helping that person not only like physically helping them, right, but also being able to verbally be there for them, right? So I recognize that to be one of my insufficiencies, and then I actually looked into it, right? I looked into it, found out a bunch of different things about empathy, more specifically like how to go about expressing your empathy through your words. Um, like I said, the feeling is one thing. You either feel empathetic or you don't, right? But most people lack the verbal explanation, the verbal um the verbal expression of the verbal expression of empathy, right? If you're able, like I said, I was able to just figure out that as one of my insufficiencies, recognize that I can do something about it. That's something that I think and not more people need to focus on, right? If you have an insufficiency, you can do something about it. Don't believe that that's something that's always going to burden you, because it's not, right? And do something about it. You can do something about it, so do something about it, right? So that's something that I've done. That is just one of the many examples, right? There's other examples that I can go ahead and point out specifically. I would say another insufficiency that I had that I no longer have, or something that I've definitely got better at. Give me one second. Hold up. Get curious and seek adventures in the abundant world of knowledge. Cook, the arts, self improvement, martial arts. The internet has all of it for free. Exactly, exactly. And I do believe that's also what transcends uh, people in their older age as well. If you're able to stay hip with the times, and also recognize where you are on the chessboard, right? And being able to make the best move by, like I had mentioned, the most underrated skill in 2023, being able to utilize your resources to get the answers that you need out of this life. I do believe my grandma is a perfect example of this, right? She's aged, right? She's not old, she's aged. And with that being said, most people that are aged are truly old because they start having certain ways about kind of the way they go about their thought process, right? They don't believe that they can learn anything. They don't believe that there is things that they need to learn, right? But if you're able to truly open your mind up, which, like I said, that doesn't happen very, very often with people that are aged, but if you're able to open your mind up, still be curious about life, and also have the ability to use your resources in a way where you can get the answers that you need to get out of life, and constantly, fulfilling yourself with positive inputs, you're going to be in a better position, right? I truly don't see enough, especially people that are truly smart. I've seen a lot of older smart people that don't use their resources to the best of their abilities. They don't, and I feel like that's gonna limit some people as well. It's something that people don't talk about, but the people that are able to do that, man, like I said, they're just living, they're just working on a different frequency, man. Like I said, I'm tapped in with those people, man. I'm tapped in with those people, man. For damn sure, for damn sure. But yeah, man, I'm really white in this, man. God damn, shouldn't have wore the shirt. But yeah, hopefully I got something from this podcast, man. Um, yeah, but just give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I do want to talk about that topic I talked about earlier, man. Let me try to get back to it. Um, damn, let's see if I can remember it. If you remember the topic that I was going to talk about, make sure you go ahead and let me know in the comments, 'cause I totally forgot, man. Let me see if I can pull it up, man. One thing I want to mention as well. This is just going to be random, but if there's any specific type of podcast that you think I would be very, very good in helping people out with, make sure you go ahead and let me know in the comments. If you're going through any specific problems or any trials and tribulations in life that you feel like you need a little bit more insight on, that you think my thinking will help contribute to the solution that you can find for yourself, I want you to go ahead and let me know in the comments. Like I said, whether you're watching this or watching this live, I want to be able to get you guys' inputs on the things that you are struggling with, or maybe a thing that you struggle with, and you can kind of get a different insight on that. Because out here, we're just trying to fix people's problems, man. We're trying to get the most out of the people. We're trying to make sure they have the most fulfilled lives that they possibly can, and the only way to do that is by giving out the game, fellas. By giving out the game, man. All right, give me 1 second. Hey, man, there's something good, man. There's something good that I had. I'm trying to remember what it was, man. If y'all, like I said, if y'all watching, man, hopefully I can Tap me back in, man. Tap me back in, man. Yeah, and I would say what it comes down to as well is people numb themselves with too many distractions. So they lose their lust for life. They stop being curious. They stop being curious about things. They lose that childlike behavior of just being curious about certain things and knowing that you need to know more about this life, right? People who are able to stay curious throughout their old age, and especially the more curious you are at your younger age, dude, you're gonna be in a great position. Especially if you're very young watching this, man. If you're very young watching this and you're a very, very curious person, you need to keep that. You need to constantly have that a part of your identity. Constantly seek new things to learn. Um, you're gonna be in a good position, man. You're gonna be in a good position. 'Cause like I mentioned, sadly, most people are not like that, man. They're not. Not everybody's built like that, right? Not everybody's built like that, but the ones that are built like that are the ones that, man, are the ones that get the most out of life. They get the most satisfaction out of life. They live the most fulfilled lives, man. And I know you watching this right now. I know you want to have the most fulfilled life that you possibly can. So with that being said, take the time, man. Take the time. Take the time for yourself. Learn about what you need to learn about. Be curious about the things that you want to learn about, and start learning about something. Right? I feel like a lot of people's downfalls are they stop being curious. They stop wanting to learn after school. This is probably one of the biggest tragedies that does exist. Is people not going out of their way to try to learn something new. You think after high school, you think after college, there's not more to learn about life that you truly need to be intentional with? You're crazy. You're crazy. But that is truly a flaw that I see in a lot of people, man. That not enough people talk about is people stop wanting to learn after high school, and I do believe that it comes down to the way that they teach. If school taught correctly, I'm getting off on a tangent, but if school taught correctly, they'd make people truly smarter about the things that they want to learn about, and honestly help them become curious about certain things that they know that is actually going to help them with their life, not just a random ass topic like fucking like science or something, bro. And of course, there's things to be learned about. And I'm not bashing science as a whole. It was one of my favorite subjects, but at the same time, dude, I'm not applying half of that shit, dude. Now, if school could restructure their system to actually truly help people out, which they would never do, of course not. But if they did that and they went based off of the curiosities that people have about life and and answering some of life's hardest questions, people would still have that passion for wanting to learn. They would have that lust, like I said, that lust for life, that curiosity to help them push forward. Um, but unfortunately, like I said, school ruins. Sadly, I've seen it time and time again. Ruins certain aspects of wanting to learn about certain things. Right? Like, I would say that for myself. Right? I didn't even want to read. I didn't want to read in high school, and it ruined until my senior year. It ruined like my ability to want to like have that passion. Right? That passion to learn, even though there's a lot to be learned in about books, but it killed it for me personally. And I was like, man, I don't want to read, man. But I picked up some more books and it worked out good, man. They have to be of your interest though. Like I said, it needs to be something you're curious about. But yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna go over everything again. Like I said, if there's anything you want to add, make sure you go and let me know in the comments. But yeah, let me know. So getting back into it, right? The most underrated skill in 2023, easily by far, is going to be the skill that is going to put you in a position to win, man. And also something that has been the great divider since the beginning of time. The people that were able to utilize their resources to get the answers that they need for life were the ones that were able to get the most out of life. Period. Right? Like I said, it's a skill that has been the great separator for the longest time in history. Um, people, even the philosophers of the past, they were able to utilize their own personal experience. They were able to utilize their resources they had that were abundantly to them, even though they're not as abundantly to them as much as as it is today, which makes it even more of a reason for you to learn about certain things because there's people that were famous philosophers that really needed to seek out information that they're curious about, like really need to seek it out and get less answers and truly do more thinking. But we have such an abundance of information, man. It's up to you to truly utilize that, man. Um, but yeah, utilizing your resources given in order to answer the questions that you need to know about. Um, it's gonna put you in a good position, man. I keep saying that because truly, this is what this podcast is about, man. Putting you in the best position that you possibly can be in. taking something away from this so you can actually apply it to your own life, right? This is what this podcast is about, man. One thing I want to mention as well is most don't search, so they start to struggle. They don't search for their own insufficiencies. They don't search for the answers to their problems, so they struggle. They struggle to figure it out, and then they complain about life. When in reality, if you're a careful observer of life, you would know that life abundantly has answers to all of everybody's problems. But people don't want to think like that. That's a conversation most people don't want to have, man. That's a conversation most people don't want to have. Um, but yeah, be a careful observer in life, and you're going to be able to reap benefits that most people just don't because they're just distracted. They're lazy. Um, they're not curious. They're not childlike in the best way possible, and it's like I say, it's part of their downfall as well. One thing I want to mention as well with this skill is this is what's going to leave people behind, right? Even people that are young right now, the people that don't utilize the resources, they will literally get left behind, right? That is something that I'm never going to be is left behind. When it comes to utilizing my resources, right? There's not going to be something that comes out where I'm not already hip to an extent. Um, but yeah, utilize your resources. You'll be in a good position, man. One thing I want to mention as well is the biggest aspect of this all. And this is going to be thinking. This is something that I'm gonna reiterate on this podcast until I'm dead, man. Like thinking is so key. Thinking is so key in this grand scheme of life, right? People don't do enough thinking. People are too distracted. But the more thinking that you're able to do, the more observing that you're able to do, the more utilizing the resources that you're able to do, that's gonna change the trajectory of your entire life, man. Especially if you're watching this and you're young, it's gonna change the trajectory in a way that you could never even imagine. And yeah, like I said, it's just something that people don't talk about enough, man. People don't talk about it enough. This aspect of life to most people just requires too much thinking. But that's what life's about. Life's about thinking about these things and coming up to the solutions to your problems. That's what life's about to me, right? I'm constantly, and as you should be, constantly on this ride in life that's constantly seeking answers to your problems, right? That is life in general, and then obviously getting new problems, doing the same thing again, right? That is what life's about, man. People need to reframe their entire thinking about problems, man. Um, well, yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up here soon. A few things I want to mention as well. Um, I want to reiterate this point as well, right? You do not have to be the smartest person in the room. If you're the person, I would much rather along my side, right, a part of my team. I would much rather have a person who's great at utilizing the resources as opposed to the smartest person in the room. Period. That's all I'm gonna say, my man. Because if you're able to utilize your resources and extract the wisdom that other people have learned through their own personal experiences, and you're able to hopefully portray that in a way through your speech, the only thing I can say is you're gonna put yourself and put everyone else around you in a good position, man. That's what it's gonna come down to. And like I said, I'm not gonna say I'm the smartest person in the room. Every single room I step in, I'm not the smartest person in the room. But what I will say though is I'm a careful enough observer to utilize my resources in order to get the answers that I need to get in this life, right? Um, yeah, it's something that I've done research on for years now, and something that I'm gonna recommend for people to do the research on as well. But yeah, if you're able to be good, if you're able to be great at that skill, it's gonna separate you. It's gonna separate you for damn sure. Yeah, I'm gonna mention this. I'm gonna mention these few more points, and I'm gonna go and wrap it up, fellas. I want to mention this one more time. You are able to rid yourself of your insufficiencies with the abundance of knowledge that is openly available to everyone. Okay, everybody watching this has insufficiencies. Everybody watching this has problems. Everybody watching this is going through their own things, right? But the difference between the people who are the most happiest and the most satisfied with their life and the people that are least happiest and depressed and whatever negative label you want to place on them, the difference between these people truly come down to their ability to truly be an observer of life, truly want to be curious enough to get the answers to their problems, being able to utilize the resources and able to extract the problems and extract the answers to their problems. That is going to be the best. That is going to be the divider between those types of people and the way that you think and the way that you feel, right? I know it's not as simple as that, but it truly is to an extent as simple as that, right? If you had any problems that would cause you to feel any type of negative ways, if you're able to figure out your problems by utilizing your resources, you're no longer going to feel those ways. You're going to avoid yourself from feeling those types of ways. So you either see it or you don't, man. You're either gonna do it or you're not. Simple as that. But I'm trying to give y'all the game, man. Like I said, if you took anything from this podcast, I want you to go and let me know. Yeah, like I said, right now you have a great opportunity right now. Right? Everybody has this great opportunity. And it can propel anyone from being above average. That's all I'm gonna say, man. It can propel you from being average, below average to above average, man. And I would say it all starts with the questions that you have for life. I would say for me personally, I've got reaped a lot of benefits through YouTube. YouTube's gonna be an abundance. It's gonna have an abundance of information. Are also one of the largest search engines that does exist to this day. Um, Even on things you don't know, man. Let's just say you're trying to fix something, man. You can literally look it up on YouTube. And I'm sure there's a video for it. Like there's a lot of different things in this world. Um, Google, like I had mentioned as well. Also through books, many different books are going to be able to give you answers. Right? There's going to be people who have thought about these things probably a little bit more thoroughly than you have. I wrote a book on it. That if you're, you know, disciplined enough to actually read, which most people aren't, but if you're actually disciplined enough to actually read, it's going to put you in a good position, man. Like I said, there's a lot of sacrifice when it comes to reading. This is something I'm trying to get into right now again. I just got Audible again. Um, but yeah, getting back to those ways that you constantly are curious, man. You constantly wanting to utilize your resources to the fullest extent that you do have. The way that I see it, man, is there's going to be plenty of people in our past history that didn't have that much information that truly were hungry and curious to want to learn these certain things that they just never could get. Maybe they never even could get the answers to. Maybe they just never did. And maybe we had the advantage of the answers that they were looking for, right? Now, don't waste your time, man. Don't be out here wasting your time, right? And like I mentioned earlier, right? Entertainment's going to be entertainment is. Oh my God, I just thought about this idea. Entertainment, seeking entertainment is some of people's biggest flaws. An abundance of entertainment. Life is not just about being entertained, fellas. Of course, you want to get something more out of this life, and also be entertained while doing it. But entertainment it shouldn't be an ideal at all, at all. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say, man. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. I appreciate everyone stopping by. If you're watching this, like I said, make sure you leave a comment. If you're watching this live, I want you to go ahead and let me know that you're watching. But I appreciate everyone stopping by. Make sure you leave a like. I'll wait off a few more minutes for last second comments. But other than that, this was the topic for today's podcast, man. Like I said, talking about the most underrated skill in 2023, the ability to utilize your resources or given resources is going to dictate whether you get the answers to life's questions, and it's as simple as that, man. Like I mentioned, if you have any specific topics that you want me to talk about that you think would be a good podcast, I want you to go ahead and let me know. We got some good ones cooking up, man. I'll give you some insight on some of the ones that I have coming up. Um, Increasing your confidence, how to increase your confidence. I think that's going to be a good one for me to make, and I think a lot of people will definitely take something away from that specific podcast. So I'm going to be making that one coming up here soon, as well as one that I'm making very very soon as well. I'll give you guys, like I said, I'll give you all the insight. Let me find it real quick. Two of them. How to stand out. I feel like there's people that are average that want to find specific ways for them to go ahead and stand out. I'm gonna make that one for sure. It's gonna look different for everybody, especially it's gonna look different for every single gender, right? But how to stand out, I think that one's gonna help a lot of people out. And this other one that I think is it's gonna bring people. I think I'd say an uncomfortable amount of discomfort, but necessary discomfort. That is going to be, are you counterintuitive, right? Are you truly saying things and doing things that are truly aligned, and also do you have conflicting views, right? The perfect example I would discuss on this podcast. Like I said, I'll give you all a little insight, right? A perfect discussion that's going to be had with whether you're counterintuitive or not. I would like to say something like for example, people want people want a certain person to be their partner, right? And in the same capacity, they want this partner to have a certain abilities that conflict with each other. So, for example, right? Um, I'll give you this vague one, but let's just say men want. Okay, how do I describe this? a lot of men's ideals is to have a woman who's, let's just say, not that sexually experienced, but they also want a woman who's sexually experienced. You can't have both. You can't have both, right? I would say that's a good example, but there's plenty of other examples that do exist where you'll have this one ideal, but yet you're not going to see the other side, right? You just see this one side that gives you the dopamine rush that you truly want, but you also have this counter ideal. For example, right? I would say another example that I see within women all the time, unfortunately, is they're attracted to one thing. Say they want something, they want one thing, right? They're attracted to another thing. Does that make sense? They don't. They're never. A lot of women are never conscious of these things, right? Let's just say they're like, oh yeah, I want a guy who's a nice guy, who'll take care of me, this and this and this, and then you see the guys that they're going after, and they're going after piece of shit guys that are just literally wrecking them emotionally, right? Because they get that emotional spike, right? There's gonna be plenty of examples that I could use, but that's gonna be one of the topics that I talk about in the future. Like I said, the topic is going to be: are you counterintuitive? Right? Do you have certain beliefs that truly conflict? Um, I believe that sadly I see too many. I've seen some in my own life, where I have certain identities conflict, and I would say that's interesting. Like I said, it's one of those ones that I think will give people um, that uncomfortable amount of self reflection that I think people need for sure. So I'll go ahead and end it off, fellas. I appreciate everyone for stopping by. Like I said, this is Life of a Champ podcast, episode 124, talking about utilizing your resources, also talking about the most underrated skill in 2023. So if you did enjoy, make sure and leave a like and also let me know in the comments. Other than that, I'll leave you guys off with the podcast motto. Fellas out here, man, we don't just work around here, man. We outwork. So make sure y'all working these motherfuckers because you know that I am, for sure. You know what time it is, man. Got the workout in earlier. You already know what time it is, fellas. Y'all have a good night. And today is Tuesday, so I'll be having another podcast on Thursday. So make sure you go to tap in with that for sure. Other than that, I'm also going to be having a live stream for music. Going to be tomorrow night. So make sure you go and tap in with that for sure as well. Y'all have a good night. And like I said, make sure you go ahead and utilize your resources, fellas.